For those who really want to get to know homelessness law and get loads of people housed as a result of it, I can recommend no better resource than the Local Government Social Care Ombudsman's website. The Local Government Social Care Ombudsman basically is a watchdog for councils. They investigate cases where it appears councils haven't followed the law, where individuals bring complaints. And what's brilliant about it is that they publish most of their decisions online, and they basically give an incredibly clear and logical explanation of what the law is, what happened in that case, what their findings and analysis was, and then basically what action was taken, which quite often will involve compensation and training and stuff like that for staff, that sort of thing. But it's the best place I've ever found where it goes through the intricacies of homelessness law in a fairly accessible way, and basically puts that law into practice in everyday situations, that you know, the real world situations that actually happened. Because it's one thing to read the Housing Act, or try and read it. I've never tried to read it fully because it's you know, incredibly dense and everything. But it's something else to see how the law is applied to individual circumstances, because it's then that you really understand how it all works and how it can get people housed, how it can get people compensation. The only downside with the LGSO's website, in my opinion, is the fact that the search function's not terribly good, as in I often struggle to find keywords or kind of search for key terms effectively that actually bring up decisions, to the point where I've searched for decisions before where I know they're on the website and yet the actual search results don't throw them up. So rather than having to trawl through literally thousands of LGSO decisions on their website, what I've basically started to do is to compile this database of relevant cases, interesting cases that illustrate certain points of law that are either very common or actually very obscure, but actually still very useful for that reason. There's a link to this database on the description of the video. At the moment it's up on Will Flack's website. I might add to that, might put it up on the HBP website at some point if I get around to it. But basically, if you go onto that, if you follow the link, you'll see that there is 4 columns to this table. The first column of which is the reference number for the LGO decision, basically. So if you take that to lgo.org.uk/decisions, there's a little search box. You can put the code into that search box in terms of reference number, and then the full decision will come right up. I've then put the summary for the decision in the right-hand column, which is generally taken from the actual decision itself. The second column is obviously the counsellor involved. But the third column is the bit which I'm hoping makes it useful, because as Will set it up, there's a search feature to it, and in effect you can search for particular terms. And for every case I've put up there, they're up there because I can see something interesting about the case in the first place. But I tried to basically boil the themes down, so you know, kind of create these keywords which you can then search for. So something as simple as gatekeeping. If you search for gatekeeping, you'll get a bunch of search results immediately come up. You can then read the summaries and just kind of see what else was going on in that case. And effectively what I'm hoping it means is that you can home in on cases which are similar or even identical to the ones you're involved in, and you can see how the LGSO considered those complaints, and hopefully then get some confidence when you're making your own complaint. So if we just kind of look at the range of keywords that I've kind of drawn out from this, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff. As I say, there's all sorts of things on there: reasonable adjustments, household makeup, gatekeeping, rodent infestations, 6-week B&B limit, storage of property, protection of property, that sort of thing, personalised housing plans, unsuitable TA, kind of PHP timelines, that sort of thing, refusal to follow LGSO recommendations, landlord complaints, bailiffs, you know, kind of being told to wait till the bailiff comes, parental responsibilities when separated, paying for temporary accommodation, housing benefit, all that sort of stuff. There's a whole load of stuff in there. As I say, some of them are in there because they're just very common. Things like being told to wait to the bailiff, that's such a common thing, and yet it's, yeah, it happens so much. It's just good to see when the LGOs actually investigated these things. You've also got much more nuanced things which you kind of see occasionally in there, which I'd probably recommend just reading through that third column just to see what's in there, so you can start to get a grasp of what kind of things the LGSO investigate and conversely don't investigate. So even things like when a rogue landlord wasn't prosecuted by the council, there are LGSO decisions which kind of talk about that in more detail as they go through the case. So yeah, that's what it's there for. I'm hoping it will just provide a bit of sanity of mind, really. Certainly my experience of starting to challenge Bedford Borough Council back in the day, sort of 2013, 2014, is that I would read what the law said in the Code of Guidance. They would then come back and say, no, that's not what the law is. You know, even something as simple as making a homeless application when you're not actually there in person. I remember that came up very early on. You know, you're reading case law which says, yeah, it's definitely possible to do that, but the council come back and say, no, you know, it's definitely not possible. They need to come in person to make an application and so on. So it's very useful to start seeing LGSO decisions which basically consider those kinds of things that happen within council, because it's not, you know, not rare really, because they're not one-offs or anything. They happen quite commonly. And then hopefully you'll be able to see, what the law actually is, how the law was applied in this case, what the finding was from the LGSO, what recommendations there were for compensation or staff training, whatever it would be. And that I'm hoping that'll just provide some sanity in people out there and give you that confidence you need to actually kind of push through. Because I've said loads of times now, the first stage complaint you make will never be responded to, or almost never be upheld correctly in that first stage. You always have to take it further. As I say always, there's been one case I've ever worked in where I didn't have to. Every other case I've ever been involved in had to go at least to stage 2, if not onto the Ombudsman to get an outcome. But you can see how the LGSO considered things, really kind of interesting things are in there. So yeah, please use it, please share it around. I'm hoping it will just kind of, basically for those people who want to kind of help more and more people and kind of get more confidence in doing this, I think this is a great resource. As in, the LGSO's website is a great resource, but I'm hoping this database will just help people navigate it more easily and just kind of find those more, kind of relevant cases much more quickly, and therefore be able to understand the law better, basically. So yeah, if you go on Will's website as well, I think he's doing something similar around a database for relevant case law. So Will's got loads of stuff on there already, loads of resources, things like lists of solicitors that can get legal aid, that sort of thing. But as I say, there's some other stuff on there as well. So yeah, do check it out. And if you do find this stuff useful, do check out our training. We do it every month or so online. We also do in-house training around the country and so on. But the open online course we do every month is just available for anyone, whether you're a worker, whether you're a professional, whether you're just a member of the public who's interested. And it gives you that framework to understand how all these kind of threads are drawn together. And you'll notice in that day how many times we're referring to LGSO cases, because they are so good at just bringing out these principles and just kind of boiling it down to very simple terms.